The proceedings in the Rafik Hariri trial are currently underway at the International Court of Justice. The ICJ has denied the involvement of Hezbollah in Hariri's assassination. The court has said that though Hezbollah may have had reasons to assassinate Hariri, there is no evidence that they believe that Hezbollah was involved. The court has also cleared Syria of any involvement in the assassination, citing lack of evidence. The killing was a watershed moment for Lebanon and gave rise to rival alliances that shape Lebanese politics for years afterwards.
The trial chamber has found beyond a reasonable doubt that a suicide bomber triggered the attack. 23 people died in the explosion or in the aftermath of the blast, including the suicide bomber. However, only 20 complete bodies were recovered from the crime scene. The remains of an unidentified man were found near to the blast. In total, the experts and investigators recovered and identified 92 human parts belonging to him. The quantity of remains was small, with a combined weight of less than 1 kilogram. This included smaller pieces of tissue and bones. A burnt tooth sample from this person did not match the DNA profile of Ahmad Abu Adas, the young Palestinian man in the false claim video. His DNA profile was not found at the crime scene. Based on the DNA evidence found at the scene and the analysis of DNA samples from Mr. Abu Adas's family members, the trial chamber is satisfied beyond a reasonable doubt that Mr. Abu Adas was not the suicide bomber. The unidentified male was the closest in proximity, within 1 to 2 meters of the explosive device when it detonated. He was most likely the suicide bomber in the trial chamber's opinion. Beyond the evidence that the tooth belonged to a young male in his early 20s, there is no further identifying evidence in the human remains.
The proceedings in the Rafik Hariri trial are currently underway at the International Court of Justice. The ICJ has denied involvement of Hezbollah in Hariri's assassination. The court has said that though Hezbollah may have had reasons to assassinate Hariri, there is no evidence to believe that Hezbollah was involved. The court has also cleared Syria of any involvement in this assassination, citing lack of evidence. The killing was a watershed moment for Lebanon and gave rise to rival alliances that shape Lebanese politics for years afterwards.
That operated as networks. These were mobile groups with a high frequency of contacts within the group. The green network of 3 mobiles allegedly monitored and coordinated the attack and the false claim of responsibility. The red network of 8 mobiles carried out the assassination of Mr. Hariri. The blue network of 15 mobiles and the yellow network of 13 mobiles were used to prepare for the attack, including the surveillance of Mr. Hariri. The 3 mobiles in the 5th group, the purple mobiles, were used to communicate with each other and others outside the group to coordinate the false claim of responsibility. This may sound complicated, and indeed it is or was very complicated trying to unravel what occurred by examining cell site and call data records. The handsets and SIM cards were purchased anonymously or with fake identification and paid in cash, including top-ups. Some handsets were swapped between mobiles in different networks. The trial chamber finds that the green, red, blue, and yellow networks were interconnected and coordinated with each other and operated as covert networks at the relevant times. The assassination team used 6 red mobiles, including on the day of the attack. At least 2 also used blue mobiles. Given their high forensic profile, the discovery of the red mobiles by investigators was inevitable. They were used in the area of the crime scene at the time immediately preceding the crime. The red network mobiles ceased use just before the explosion. Their users took extra care to limit their traceability, which meant that the anonymity of the users of the red mobiles was the most protected. This created a need for the blue mobiles, which could be used more generally for surveillance and other activities.
A United Nations-backed tribunal is currently reading the long-awaited verdict in former Lebanese Prime Minister Rafik Hariri's assassination. The verdict is being handed down by the Special Tribunal for Lebanon in Hague, in Netherlands. 4 Hezbollah members have been tried in absentia for the assassination of the billionaire-turned-politician in a massive 2005 car bombing in Beirut, which also killed 21 others. Hariri was an opposition MP at the time of his killing. Now the killing became a major catalyst for change in Lebanon. It sparked the Syria revolution, which forced Syria to end its decades-long occupation of Lebanon. Meanwhile, Iran-backed Shiite group Hezbollah has once again denied any involvement in the killing of the popular Sunni leader, saying that its members are being made scapegoats. Fingers have also been pointed at Syria. This as Hariri had been demanding Syrian troops' withdrawal from Lebanon. Hariri's son, Saad Hariri, who also served as Lebanon's prime minister, said that the verdict will bring closure to the Lebanese people. The verdict, which has been overshadowed by the August 4th Beirut blast, is expected to create more divisions in the politically and economically unstable country.
Identifying the patterns of mobile use in suspected closed networks that appeared to be connected with the surveillance and or assassination of Mr. Hariri, and then attempting to find mobiles that were co-locating with these identified network mobiles. They then had to identify who was using the mobiles that appeared to be co-locating.